All right, let's get right into it. Today we're breaking down a pretty huge piece of new legislation in Ontario that has a lot of people talking. It's called Bill 60. It really all kicks off with this massive question. I mean, it's a challenge cities and provinces everywhere are wrestling with. And you know what? Everyone seems to have a totally different take on the right answer. Well, here in Ontario, the government's answer is Bill 60, or to use its full name, the Fighting Delays Building Faster Act. And if you had to boil this whole thing down to just one single word, one goal, it's speed. Okay, so let's dig in, starting with the changes that are probably going to hit closest to home for a lot of people. We're talking about the new rules for renters and for landlords. First up is something called an N4 notice. This is basically the first official step a landlord takes if a tenant has missed rent. Before this bill, landlords had to give a 14-day window. Now, with Bill 60, that waiting period has been cut right in half, down to just 7 days. And that push for speed, it doesn't stop there. Let's say a tenant gets an eviction order from the Landlord and Tenant Board, the LTB. Their chance to appeal that decision has also been chopped in half. It's gone from 30 days all the way down to 15. Now, this next one is a really big deal because it's completely new. Some people have started calling it pay to play. So here's the deal. If you're a tenant at a hearing because of unpaid rent, you now have to pay 50% of what the landlord says you owe before you can even bring up other problems, like serious maintenance issues. And the last thing in this section is a smaller but still important tweak to what's known as an own use eviction. That's when a landlord evicts a tenant because they or a family member needs to move in. The 120-day notice period, that's staying the same. But in some very specific situations, the landlord no longer has to pay that 1 month's rent as compensation. Okay, let's zoom out. We've been talking about what happens inside an apartment, but Bill 60 is looking at the bigger picture too. It's basically drawing up a whole new blueprint for how our cities can grow and evolve. And wow, this table really shows you the shift in power. Just look at this. Cities are now blocked from removing a car lane to put in a new bike lane. In Toronto, their famous bylaw that required green roofs on new buildings, that's being overridden by the province. And the province can now just step in and scrap local green building standards if they think it's slowing things down. It's a very clear shift of control from the city level up to the provincial level. And all of this kind of fits into this bigger theme of standardization. The province has given itself new powers to basically force municipalities to get their big picture city plans, their official plans, to all look more alike. The idea is to have one consistent, predictable set of rules no matter where you are in Ontario. So if the whole point is to build faster, what about the actual builders? Well, the next chunk of this bill is focused on, as they call it, unclogging the construction system with some pretty technical changes. To really get the main change here, you gotta understand this term, holdback. The absolute easiest way to think about it is like a security deposit, but for a massive construction project. A chunk of money is held back from contractors just to make sure all the work gets done right and all the bills get paid. So what's new? Well, they're speeding up the process. On those huge multi-year projects, that holdback money can now be released every year instead of being locked up until the bitter end. It's not tied to other legal deadlines anymore. The bottom line is pretty simple. Get cash into the hands of contractors faster so they can keep their projects moving. The bill also tucks in a few other pretty major technical changes. It opens the door for new public corporations to manage water and wastewater, and they're starting in Peel Region. It also rewrites the rules for how cities collect money from developers to buy land for future growth. And it cleans up the language in the Construction Act to make the rules around things like abandoned contracts a little clearer. So after you look at all these different pieces, the changes for tenants, for cities, for builders, you have to ask, right? What's the official reason for all this? Why this bill and why right now? Okay, so what's the official line? According to the government, it all comes back to a handful of core goals. Number one, there's that word again, speed. They argue these changes will get homes built much, much faster. They also say it'll lower costs by cutting what they call red tape, things like those green roof rules. And finally, it's about creating one standard, predictable, and efficient system for everybody. And this quote from the government's own rationale really just says it all. The central mission, in their words, is all about unclogging systems that are currently stuck in backlogs. And that could be a payment to a contractor or a case sitting in front of the Landlord and Tenant Board. And all of this leads us to the one big central question that Bill 60 really leaves us with. It's a huge piece of legislation, and it's built entirely around this one idea, speed. And it really forces us all to ask, in this huge rush to build faster, what are the trade-offs? What's the right balance between that need for speed, the protections that tenants have, and the power of our local communities to actually shape their own futures?